Did you accidentally make a mess with your stainless steel skillet? Maybe you're frustrated because you haven't quite figured it out yet and you're really tired of cleaning a sticky mess. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of different methods that will help you clean your stainless steel skillet and getting it back to looking brand new again. Let's dive in. Okay, so we all do it, we all have our moments. Maybe we forgot to preheat the skillet and we started off with a cold skillet, or just wasn't paying attention and the skillet got away from you and now you have a sticky mess and you know you're gonna have to clean it. Remember, stainless steel skillets are not as forgiving as carbon steel and cast iron. So sometimes, occasionally, you'll find yourself in a sticky situation. But keep in mind, these methods are meant to help you until you can get to know your pan a little bit better and lock in those fundamentals, or for those rare occasions where just things went wrong. They're not intended to be a solution for bad habits. If you want to know more about stainless steel, check out some of my videos. I also have a fundamental video that I highly recommend you watch. Okay, so some of these things are common household products that you'll find probably already in your house, but there are a couple of techniques that are absolutely free that require no purchase from you. I do recommend 1 or 2 purchases, and it's a good idea to keep them in your cupboard in case you need to use them. But mainly, all of these techniques are common solutions, and to be quite fair, there are a lot of different methods out there. A lot of you know other ways of cleaning stainless steel or, sticky messes just in general. So I can't obviously go over everything. I'm going to be picking the most popular methods, the most popular techniques. If you have a really cool technique, by all means, leave me a comment below. I am always willing to learn new techniques, especially if it's going to make my life a lot easier. So share with the class. The first method requires absolutely no purchase at all. If you have a really sticky mess, all you gotta do is add a bunch of water, put it back on the stovetop, and boil the mess out. You're kind of treating the sticky mess like fond. Once the water gets boiling, allow it to boil for 5 minutes or so. That should kind of get everything nice and loose. And then grab a wooden spatula or a high heat silicone spatula and just scrape off the gunk while it's on the stovetop and still boiling. This method is my favorite method, and for 90% of the situations, it will take care of the sticky mess, and you will find yourself really happy because everything will just dump out with the boiling water. Now, for all these methods, I highly recommend you buy a kitchen strainer for your drain. You don't want to ruin your sink, so it's a good idea to catch all that because I don't know what kind of mess you have. So keep that in mind. But for the boiling water technique, you will see everything just pour out with the water. Okay, now another variation of the boiling water technique is actually to add vinegar. It's going to be equal parts water to equal parts vinegar. Now there's actually 2 methods with vinegar, but the first method is to just add it with the boiling water and let everything get up to temperature, and then you should be able to just scrape everything off. I think this method is unnecessary. I don't think you need the vinegar. I think the boiling water itself is doing the majority of the work. And if you scrape it off while everything's boiling, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get most of the stuff off. Some people will suggest you don't need to keep it on the stovetop. You can take it off and the vinegar and the water will do its thing, and then you can just scrape it off, somewhere else. It doesn't have to be on the heat source. But I just find it completely unnecessary, and I would choose the boiling water by itself over the vinegar technique. The second method is actually taking some salt and vinegar and making kind of like a sludge to scrape everything off. Again, I think the boiling water by itself is good enough. Okay, what if you have a really sticky mess and the boiling water technique is just not cutting it, which by the way is really, really rare. Or maybe you might have some rainbow stains or discoloration. Well, the next method is a really popular method and one of my favorite methods, and it's probably your favorite method too, Barkeeper's Friend. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's an amazing product. You can use it on almost anything. Ceramic, copper, brass, fiberglass, stainless steel. It just performs miracles. And I absolutely love it. It's cheap, it's convenient, and we always have some on hand ready to go. So what's the proper way of using Barkeeper's Friend? Well, let's read the directions from the manufacturer. Sprinkle onto a wet surface. Rub gently with a wet cloth or a sponge. Rinse thoroughly within a minute of application, and then wipe dry. There's a note here that says below about testing delicate surfaces. And if you feel like you might be applying this to a delicate surface, definitely follow those directions. But basically, you're gonna sprinkle some Barkeeper's Friend on a wet surface. You're gonna allow it to sit for about a minute or so, let it completely penetrate through, scrub it out, and then rinse it. And it works every single time. For a sticky mess, if the boiling water method hasn't gotten it out, Barkeeper's Friend will, and even the vinegar and salt method will help kind of get that going as well. But if you have discoloration is where Barkeeper's Friend really shines. And if you have rainbow stains, vinegar does a really good job as well, and so does Barkeeper's Friend. But there's another method that does really well, and it's another common household item. The next method is baking soda. Baking soda has a secret superpower. You can use it for almost anything. And for stainless steel, it actually does a really, really good job. A popular and common method is to fill up your stainless steel pan that has a really bad sticky mess with hot water and then add some baking soda. You can do a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons or half a tablespoon, depending on how bad the mess is. And then you gotta wait. Come back after an hour and scrub out the gunk. And I guarantee you, after that hour, that sticky mess is gonna loosen right up and you should be able to easily wipe it off. There's been times where I've just dumped out the water and literally got like a towel or a paper towel, and I was just able to just easily wipe it off. So the baking soda method is a great alternative to folks out there that don't want to use any chemicals. You don't want to use Barkeeper's Friend, and maybe you don't have any vinegar on hand, but it really does a good job of penetrating and loosening all of those sticky bits. Rainbow stains and light thermal discoloration, like that stuff that you would see on the back of a pan. I think Barkeeper's Friend does a better job with that kind of discoloration, or even vinegar, but baking soda does a pretty good job as well. Okay, there's one more method I wanted to mention that's gaining popularity, and that's Dawn Power Wash. I actually really like Dawn Power Wash. We keep a bottle on hand, but I kind of would rate it somewhere in between like regular dish soap, maybe the vinegar and salt method. It's somewhere in between. The idea is you're gonna spray your pan with the Dawn Power Wash, allow it to sit and soak, let it do its magic, and then you come back and you should be able to clean out your pan. So if you have a really sticky mess, I think you're better off with the boiling method or Barkeeper's Friend or something similar, but Dawn Power Wash is a good method. And we kind of tend to use that method more frequently because it's really rare for me nowadays to have a really bad mess. And I'm not gloating, I'm just saying it's just really rare. I do occasionally have it, but the boiling water method does a great job. But when I do have a bit of a mess, or maybe I allowed the skillet to cool off and the stuff that was in there now is a sticky mess, the Dawn Power Wash does a fantastic job. Which actually brings me to the next segment. Let's talk about some tips and tricks and just some basics, do's and don'ts. After you're done cooking, you never want to place a hot skillet, I mean a really hot skillet, in the sink with cold water. That thermal shock can do really bad things to any skillet. It can warp it, it can damage it, and you will not be happy. Always allow your skillet to cool off a bit. Now, a good rule of thumb is never allow it to fully cool down if you know you have stuff in the skillet, because that stuff will cool off as well. It will bond to the skillet and now you're gonna have a sticky mess. It's a good idea to allow your skillet to cool off somewhat, because you never wanna take it when it's extremely hot, and wash it then. But you don't want it completely cool. So I would allow the skillet to cool down for about 5 minutes or so. If it's a quick dinner, you can get to it after dinner if it's like 20 minutes or so. But you don't want it cold. Always try to wash a skillet when it's warm. That's a good rule of thumb. If you do that, theoretically speaking, the stuff that's stuck in there should still be relatively loose. It hasn't completely bonded to the surface of the skillet yet, and things should be a lot easier. Another good rule of thumb is follow the fundamentals. Properly preheat your pan, properly add in your oil, and things should be good. And watch your temperatures. With stainless steel, you don't need to crank it all the way up. Medium to medium low is usually a really nice, happy environment for stainless steel. That will typically get things done for you. Temperature control is really important. Stainless steel is not forgiving at all. There's a couple of techniques you can use. I made a video about properly preheating your pan using visual techniques. Check out that video if you have some time. One of those methods is the Leidenfrost effect, which helps you understand when your skillet's way too cold. Okay, here's my final thoughts. Let's summarize everything. I think the boiling water method will take care of sticky messes 90% of the time. If you have any discoloration or rainbow stains, the boiling water method is not the best method for that particular situation. If you keep the skillet on the stovetop, be careful, you have boiling water, so always practice safety. Take a wooden spatula or a silicone spatula, whatever it is that you want to use, you can easily scrape off that sticky mess right there on the stovetop as the water is boiling. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say the cleanup effort, the effort that's required of you to scrape off the mess with the boiling water, is probably somewhere around a 3 or 4. It's not much effort at all. Now, the vinegar and boiling water test, I don't think really has much benefit. I think the boiling water is doing the majority of the work. So I would probably just save your money and save the vinegar and just stick to the boiling water method. If you don't want to deal with boiling water on the stovetop and scraping stuff off, if you think that's too dangerous, the vinegar and salt method is a pretty good method, but I would say the effort level is probably somewhere around a 4 or 5. It's a little bit more effort, but it does a great job. And the vinegar and salt method does a pretty good job on rainbow stains and a decent job on discoloration like the back of your skillet. Now, Barkeeper's Friend does a fantastic job on a sticky mess, rainbow stains, and discoloration. The effort level with Barkeeper's Friend on a sticky mess is probably 3 or 4. Somewhere around the boiling water method. On rainbow stains, it's really easy, probably a 2 or less. And on discoloration like the back of the pan, it's probably somewhere around a 5 or 6. You gotta put some elbow grease, but it will get a lot of it out. Now let's talk about the baking soda method. On a sticky mess, I would say the effort level is like a 1. There's very little effort required from you. Come back after an hour, everything should just be coming off. You could probably just pour everything out. Worst case scenario, you got to use a towel or a paper towel to, lightly get that stuff out, but it should easily wipe away. The baking soda method does a fantastic job. There's just a bit of a wait time, but it's a great alternative if you don't like using harsh chemicals or cleaning solvents or anything like that. Now, as far as rainbow stains, it does a really good job as well. Probably a 1, 2, maybe a 3 at most. Discoloration's probably a little bit more, probably looking at a 6, maybe a 7, but it does a pretty good job as well. Lastly, Dawn Power Wash. I really like Dawn Power Wash. It's a great product. It does a better job than regular dish soap because I think you're allowing everything to sit and you're allowing the power wash to do its thing. But I would say the effort level is probably a 7, somewhere around there. It definitely helps. It's an improvement, but it's not a miracle by all means. It does a good job, and I think it's better for greasy items, not necessarily a sticky mess or discoloration or, rainbow stains or anything like that. It's really designed to lift up grease. Hopefully now you have several different ways to clean a sticky mess. Continue focusing on those fundamentals. Make sure you practice temperature control, preheating, understand heat distribution. You don't need to go on full blast heat every single time. Take your time, learn the fundamentals. You'll enjoy cooking a lot better. And for those of you that have an occasional mess, it happens to all of us. Don't beat yourself up. Stainless steel is not as forgiving as carbon steel and cast iron. That's it for me, guys. Hope you found this video informative. Check out some of my other videos, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Hey everybody, I really hope you enjoyed that video. Please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing with your family and friends. Follow us on social media and check out our new merchandise store. And above all, thank you for supporting this channel and thank you for watching.